What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Redemption with Jaden. We are not doing gameplay today, unfortunately. That was the plan. Round 4 of Lackey Grand Prix 16, which is the last round of Swiss. And I just wanted to break it to you right away. There's gonna be no game in this one. I was paired up against Alex Olahar. I was gonna confirm that with him when we played, but I feel like people pronounce his last name differently, so I don't know. Well, is it a Y or an H? The J, that is. Let us know, Alex. But either way, I'm gonna go with Olear. That's what I'm putting uh my bets on. Anyways, we were paired up to play, but we were unfortunately not able to meet at the time that we had planned. It was already pretty much like right up to the end that we were actually both available in to schedule a game, and then he sent a message and was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to get our gaming because we were going to play late at night. He was already falling asleep, I guess, and that actually worked out for me anyway, because I was not sure if I was going to be getting home in time, and it was just kind of nice to not have to rush, and so it kind of worked out. But in lieu of that, this is the deck that I was going to play, and I'm also going to do just a little recap of the Minnesota State tournament that we had this past weekend. It was a lot of fun. We had 10 players, and then Justin as well. So Justin was the host, and he did play in Type 2 and in Booster Draft, and I guess also in Teams. But he hosted and judged for Type 1, and we had 10 players playing Type 1. So not the biggest state tournament turnout, but bigger than some regionals, and it was all people from Minnesota. So I guess all of the out of state people got they went to Wisconsin State the week before, and then couldn't make it happen the week after to come to us. So it was a fully Minnesota State tournament. Definitely a lot of fun. We had some good competitions still. We had Joe and his son, the Andrighettis, and so he's been up there on the power rankings. If you've been listening to the threshing floor, and he was actually the one who took Type 1, and he and I had a pretty good game, a good little slog that I managed to get the only block against him. So that was like throughout the day, throughout all, or in Type 1, I guess. So that was my little claim to fame, although I ended up getting 4th place, I believe. So I didn't even crack the top 3, which is a little bit disappointing. And I did play a version of this deck, and I'll talk about that a little bit, kind of the changes were. But yeah, we had Nathan Voigt coming in, or no, he got 3rd place. So yeah, John Early, Red Dragon Thorn coming in 2nd place, and then Nathan Voigt coming in 3rd. John beat Nathan head to head, and so he broke their tie, which I think is what they ended up with. In points, if I remember correctly. So anyways, that was pretty fun. We played some Type 2. I managed to win that, taking out Justin, which tough game, and then and also Nathan, who's getting back into the Type 2 scene, which is great to see. I think he learned a few things about his Type 2 deck that I'm assuming he's going to be taking to nationals, so that will be good to see him back in action on the Type 2 scene. So yeah, that was Minnesota State. I played an Angels and Demons deck with Daniel. So as you can see, pretty much the same thing I've got going on here, except this version has some Thieves in it. That was more Angels, and kind of my idea was adapting it from the deck that I played at Nationals, and I believe also Minnesota State last year, which was a Daniel Demons deck, and kind of adjusting it for this year. I mean, like, the meta is kind of the same, so that I just kind of have this card that I keep coming back to, which is House Divided, that I really want to try to just play it as often as I can to mess up all the GOC strategies out there. And So far, it's been a little hit or miss. Last year, I think I was playing it mostly in reserve. Here, I was trying it out in main deck, trying to get it on the Roots slash fundraiser promo Red Dragons that it cannot be negated, and it unfortunately what the GOC offenses are doing is just not letting you play evil enhancements in most cases. That's kind of what it was. At Minnesota State this past weekend against Joe, where it was like I had one opportunity to play an enhancement and it had to be Swine Stampede, and all the others were just Dom rescues that I didn't have an opportunity to do anything about. And so this is kind of why I've adjusted the deck a little bit to try to mitigate that a little bit, try to see if I can make that a little less of a thing. I was not playing Peter's Curse. I was not playing the Cross. I was not playing Complacent in that version at all. In Minnesota State, I was playing a 57 card version, so I had no Mayhem, and then I had Grapes and Glory of the Lord in here. So I was trying to capitalize a little bit on the battle dominance and also the flexibility of getting the both sides of it in there. But yeah, that wasn't really working out quite as well. I mean, it worked in some cases, but part of the problem with both Grapes and Glory is that if your opponent has a dominant that they can play that takes out your evil cards in battle, your evil characters, then Grapes doesn't work because there needs to be an evil card in battle, and also Glory doesn't really do anything because they've already played their enhancements, they probably got bigger numbers, so Glory is best when you have a character like Heritage Grip of the First or something where you're protected, which I did have Prince of this World in here, was hoping that could kind of leverage a similar thing, but I mean, even in those situations, you play Glory and they've got Resurrection, then you're kind of in trouble. So that didn't quite work out as well as I had hoped. I think it's still good with this offense, but I just needed to, I think, go into the just dominant restricting route a little bit to really try to, like, if I really want to land the House Divided, then I think that's kind of the route you got to go. The other route you could go is a side battle thing, but House Divided doesn't necessarily work with a lot of the themes that have side battle cards. I think NT Gold, or I mean just Gold in general, would maybe be the best one, where you can use Faith of Gideon to try to do it. And I thought about that, but didn't really want to adjust to the deck a whole lot. So anyways, that's what I was trying at Minnesota State, and I'll kind of just give maybe some more tidbits as I go throughout the rest of this deck overview, which is a very similar deck overall, but I'll kind of talk about some of the changes I made and why in addition to all that. So also, just a quick little disclaimer, you'll see that I'm in a different environment here, recording in a different place than normal, different background and everything. So if it sounds a little different or looks a little weird, well, that's because I sound weird and look weird, but also because it's a different camera, different microphone, that kind of stuff. So don't worry about that. And a quick little shout out, of course, to our sponsors over at Your Turn Games. We have an announcement from them. It just came out a day or two ago, whatever, it depends on when you're watching this, but Andy put up an announcement saying that all of these singles between now and July 22nd, so kind of going up like a week just before Nationals, are now 10% off. You don't need any promo codes or any like discount codes or whatever. It's just automatically applied. So if you're getting your decks ready for Nationals, you're realizing, oh, I'm missing a few cards, or I want to try these out, I don't have them, go to Your Turn Games, you can order them, and you can also get free shipping if you're going to the national tournament, just by selecting that option to pick them up at the national tournament. So that if Andy's going to be there at Nationals, and so if you are wanting to pick it up there, you can certainly do that and save on the shipping, and also not have to worry about, like, okay, is it going to get here in time, something like that. It's just a lot cleaner, easier to do that. And that's, I think, part of why he wanted to do it July 22nd as the date, even though that's like the week before Nationals, is that it still gives some time to do some shipping. I'm sure Andy's got a lot to prepare for to get everything ready for Nationals, but we're very glad to be able to have Your Turn Games at Nationals, so that even if you are making changes to your deck the night before the tournament, and you're like, oh, I don't have these cards, nobody has them for trade. I should go over to Your Turn Games. He's probably got a table set up somewhere, and you can buy some cards from him there. And of course, you can still go and pre-order the Israel's Inheritance stuff that I said I wasn't going to mention, but I didn't focus on it this week at least. So there's that. You can give me that. All right. Anyways, let's go ahead and look back at the deck here. So with the House Divided idea, or like wanting to pull that off, there's a few things that I guess you have to consider, as like your defense pretty much has to work well with House Divided. And so before I had pretty much all mono brigade evil characters. I think Divining Damsel was my one dual brigade or even dual icon evil character. And so now switching to Thieves makes that a little bit more tricky because you've got Condemned Thief, which is really hard not to play. Like I had him in a reserve and I had Fence Jumpers in here, but I think that's just not that's just not the right play. Like Condemned Thief, especially on turn 1, is just very good, especially if you're doing a Highwayman to Plunderers to Condemned Thief, and you can just prevent one of their enhancements, take their one that cannot be prevented, something like that. Like if you can get Judas in there, even better, because you can restrict the dominance. Really, these two should be over in the evil character lineup here. Just if you were thinking like, oh, it's kind of only 6 evil characters, kind of slim. But no, they're Judas and Condemned Thief are mostly going to be evil characters. There are some cases where maybe you want to, like if you have Judas on turn 1 and you're playing Resurrection during battle, just to get a little extra value on it, you could abandon Judas. I would probably only do that if you're playing it like to abandon some of your opponent's heroes as well. But yeah, I mean, same could go for a Pendant Thief. I would be much less likely to do that than Judas, just because the hero side of Judas does have a pretty good ability as well of that draw ability, punish, and then you can bounce him later with Hypocrisy. But you definitely, I definitely do want to have Judas available early on if I can get to him, just because he kind of adds to that dominant restricting part. And people were actually mentioning on Discord today, or yesterday for you, I guess, that Judas's evil character side is very underutilized or underrated. I agree. I think that the dominant restrict is very significant, and I really wish that Foolish Shepherds was, or is it Foolish Shepherd or Shepherds? I don't know. I don't play with it, so nobody plays with it because of Matthew mostly. But I think that this card is actually like pretty good. Just doing the restricting of dominance. If it was good dominance, it might be a little bit better to open up your evil stuff. But in this deck, with Judas just restricting good dominance, that's pretty much enough for me, I guess, because I'm not really planning to play many. Or I guess this guy just restricting dominance would be fine in this deck, just because I'm not really planning to play any evil dominance during battle either. But it is kind of nice that Judas restricts good dominance and opens up, evil woes, evil crowd's choice, or even mayhem in some, in situations where that makes sense, playing that during battle. But anyway, the fact that you can restrict good dominance and also ban to a demon or take an artifact from a deck is pretty good. Taking Peter's Curse from your deck against a Lone Disciple can be kind of nice. You can just get a CBN battle winner. That's maybe not necessarily what you want to do, but you could also just get the Cross or something, or Peter's Curse out to activate as an artifact later, just as part of your block, and then Sin and Blasphemy into Swine Stampede or something like that. Or just banning to a demon, which with Sordid Spirit is good, with the Thief is good, with Deceiver in most decks it's pretty good. So I think Judas, like really the only downside to him as an evil character is the fact that the hero side is just very strong. People like to do some drawing, and if their hand isn't protected, then this is a very good punish, and he's great to band in with Resurrection or any other mass banner to get the draw too. But seeing him as more of an evil card, or seeing him as an evil card more often, I guess, is I think something that people should try or should consider, or seeing him more often, I guess, should be more, we should see him more often. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, so yeah, Condemned Thief and Judas do kind of go against the House Divided strategy a little bit, along with the Thief. Hopefully the Thief can, mostly stay in deck or in hand. Also, Peter's Curse is another one you have to watch out with House Divided. Like, this deck was very House Divided friendly in the version that I played at Minnesota State, and this version is a little bit less so, but I think it's still, like, to the point where it could pull it off more easily, and then it's still like I'm going to be better off than my opponent, which is really kind of the main crux of the idea, I guess, or kind of the main thing you want to get out of it. So yeah, and then I think part of the reason I wanted to do Thieves is because I mean, I guess because of Judas, like I could play Judas anyway, just in a mono orange, but I think that Thieves are just a little bit stronger. They just got better abilities, able to be a little bit faster is part of it. Last year I was playing Accumulator and Choked Seed stuff, and this year I was like, I don't know if that's really going to be all that good in Type 1, so I didn't really go for that part of it as much, and was kind of hoping that switching to more of an Angels focus than a Daniel focus would help speed the deck up a little bit and compensate for that. And I think it's just not quite there. Granted, I was playing a 57 card version just because I couldn't decide what cards to cut because I was making my deck the night before. Perfect. I know. I'm sorry, John. But that's just kind of what I do. And this version is actually still at 53, in part because I made the cuts, and then I was like, you know what, I'm still going to add Golgotha, the Cross, and I added Storehouse back in, just so I could get two Coming Prince and Army of the Lord in my reserve. I'm still not really positive on that, but I don't know. I thought Army of the Lord was stronger than I was giving it credit for in my mind. I did have Storehouse in here in the Minnesota State version. I had cut it, and then I added it back in as I was kind of finalizing some things with the deck. And I know I also have Bethlehem Stable in here, which, it seems, isn't that a little bit redundant, having the double protection? Kind of, but I think your opponent is going to be trying to deal with one, and if they can only deal with one, then having both is kind of nice, and I think it kind of speeds the deck up a little bit in a sense, just like having more resources available with both of these upkeep triggers. The tricky part is getting both of them out. I think I barely even saw a Storehouse at Minnesota State. For some reason, it just wasn't coming up. Bethlehem Stable is a little easier to get because you can tutor it with Resurrection. But yeah, Storehouse was trickier. But the fact that it's one of the only cards that can reliably get Coming Prince in Angel's offense, get it out of reserve, I think is what makes it worth it. And then Army of the Lord is just kind of a little icing on the cake. That the fact that it bans to any 3 Angel Warriors is pretty good, because most of the Gospel Angels are Warriors. Gabriel and Resurrection Revealer are kind of the exceptions. Well, I mean, there are more other non-warriors, but those are the only ones that I'm playing. But other than that, all of the rest of these are pretty good, like Messianic Messenger, Magnifying Multitude, and Legion of Angels. I'll just get a whole lot of value if I band all 3 of them in. And if I ban an Expatriator as well, you can negate whatever you're interrupting with the Army of the Lord. So that seems, I don't know, seems worth it in my mind. It's a little more risky with the Cross, but that's why it's in reserve, and you can, only get it out if it makes sense. The good part about it is that, there are many good parts about it, but one of the other things to note about it is that it does interrupt the battle. So even if I do play it on Captain so that it cannot be negated, I'm interrupting Captain's Prevent. And so then the Angels that I banned in are going to be their abilities are going to kind of slide under the radar of Captain's Prevent. They'll just kind of slip themselves right in, and then after they're all done activating, then Captain's Prevent will reactivate. So the Army of the Lord banning these guys in, even off of Captain to make it cannot be negated, is still going to work. All right, so that is pretty much the gist of the offense, as well as kind of just getting out the angels that can generate some value. We've got Star of Bethlehem in here to uh, capitalize on tokens from Heavenly Host, get a bunch of drawing speed and stuff that way, and going to try to utilize our opponent's offense a little bit if they are playing GOC stuff and play the Resurrection that way, but also just getting out Resurrection Revealer to negate neutrals or Bethlehem Stable to protect or Chamber to back up my angels, or make tokens with Heavenly Host, all good things. So I think that that's what makes Resurrection worthwhile in this deck, even though Judas and Repentant Thief and Zacchaeus and Zechariah, I guess, in reserve are the only ones that I could band in with it in theory. But I think that it's still worth it, especially because I would say most of the time I'm not really planning to play it in battle. I'm hoping to get complacent out, hoping to just kind of play it early in my prep phase, discard phase, whatever, set up a stable or chamber and a neutral negate, and hope that that kind of just carries a little bit. But later on, if I know that they're playing GOC good stuff, I can capitalize on using some of their offense. And if they are, if I suspect that chamber or stable are going to be in danger, then Resurrection can come in handy later to get one or both of them back. Well, one of them back. Can't do both. Unless I use Second Coming, I suppose, to play it again. Anyways, yeah, not too worried about like having to play this in battle, whereas I think most decks want to, but this deck is okay with not doing that. Yeah, so the mostly not going to be playing dominance in battle, or like that's well, I don't have any of the battle dominance in here. And even though I'm playing Peter's Curse and some good dominance, it is a little bit like, I don't know, typically in a Peter's Curse deck you want to be playing more evil dominance and probably some like battle ones, like the the add to battle ones or Christian Martyr Falling Away. But I think that playing it this route is okay, and it's kind of just really, I mean, it's like triple dipping on the dominant restrict, really trying to shut that down. Because I'm just annoyed with all the dominant rescues that people are doing now between Angel of the Lord, Resurrection, Glory of the Lord, even Grapes. So we're trying to shut them down a little bit, and Judas is in here for that too. So that is kind of the goal with the defense, and then the offense just hopefully doesn't need that backup. It can be a little more. If the defense does its job and kind of holds off the dominance from the opponent, then the offense doesn't necessarily have to have the most like consistent attacks, like always getting rescues, but it could just be, I'm gonna push in with Michael Captain, or Daniel Michael Captain, or I'm gonna push in with Expatriate or Legion of Angels to be protected, draw some stuff, and then if they have an answer, then put them in chamber. If they don't, rescue a lost soul. Or I guess if they do, then you put them in chamber and you just do it again next turn. So that's kind of the idea with the angels here. And we do have some ways to make the attacks stronger, and that's kind of the idea of the enhancements in the main deck is Faith Unbowed and then Flight into Egypt to work with Star of Bethlehem. And those are all just going to protect my good cards from evil cards and try to shut them down or like stop them from messing with my angels. So really, like, unsuccessful is going to be the best block against most of this. Daniel Michael Captain would shut that down at least. Magnifying Multitude if I have few enough cards in my hand, I suppose. But that is kind of the goal. Just get some protection, get some big guys, try to do some banding, get some value, and do what angels do best, I suppose, is kind of the idea. A Great White Throne is a great supplement for this and helps get the right angels out at the right time. Also helps a bit with some of the like ways that people are doing cheese rescues and stuff. By choosing the blocker, I can kind of get rid of a blocker in my territory that I don't want them to be able to choose, which is kind of nice. I think Great White Throne is a very decent flexible card that should be played more often, but in most decks it doesn't have, or most decks just don't have the space for it. And Great White Throne, or I guess the Angel offense, doesn't really need a whole lot of other support artifacts or whatever. Like, I mean, yeah, there just isn't as much that's uh, like, I don't know. I'm not running Denarius. I guess that's not really part of the offense, but no like Temple Veil or 20 Shekels, Book of the Law, stuff where you want to like bounce your meek heroes and reset them and stuff. So it doesn't need that kind of support. So Great White Throne and New Covenant are both great for your actual artifact slot. I guess Peter's Curse goes in there now, and then Cross can go on Golgotha. So that's pretty much the deck that I would have played against Alex this week, and we unfortunately were not able to make it work. But I do look forward to trying out this deck in the future video at some point, or like in some other games, just because I want to try it out. I don't think this is exactly the deck that I'd want to play at Nationals, but I think if it does well against the meta, then maybe, just because I would rather not play a meta deck at Nationals. The GOC good stuff, or Gospel Barf, whatever you want to call it, is very good, and it's hard not to play if you want to be competitive, that's for sure. But I'm hoping that this deck would at least be able to stand its ground a little bit, have a little more resilience, I think, with the Thieves combined in here. And the fact that you can play like House Divided and Sin and Blasphemy and stuff with Den of Thieves is kind of cool. So I thought that having Highwayman and Temple Thieves as ways to get to Den of Thieves would kind of compensate for the splashing. I do really wish there was a way to exchange for a Red Dragon. Like, Deceiver can go get any human in your deck. There's no way to just go right to a Revelation Demon. As far as I know, I mean, you got like Blasphemies, you've got Abaddon. Those are all ways to search for a Red Dragon, but then you have to get him into battle, so it's not quite the same. But I think Red Dragon is very strong. I was hoping to be able to capitalize on him a little bit more in a mono demons deck, just because you've got Mask of Worldliness now, and a few other nice toys, I guess, in orange, but I just still can't quite justify it. I don't know. Maybe there's some tweaking that I could have done. Maybe just adding Judas would have been enough. I mean, maybe not enough, but it would have been like, it would have gotten me part of the way there. So maybe because I still had Damsel, I was running Deceiver, so maybe like Deceiver with Damsel and Judas, and then some Foreign Wives or something in reserve to get make sure that Deceiver has a target in there. Could be the way to go. Could be a way to go, but I did want to give kind of the Thieves Demons splash a try, at least before I commit to anything else, I guess. I don't know. Not that I'm really committing there, but I wanted to try them out. We'll just leave it at that. So anyways, that is the deck for this week. Sorry that there's no gameplay. I would have loved to make that work for you guys, but honestly, it was just kind of nice to not have to worry about it that night when we were originally planning to play. So then on that, another little bit of bad news, I guess, depending on who you ask, I don't know. But if you're watching the video, it's probably bad news. I will not have a video next week. The good news is that that's because I will be gone in Mexico on a trip with my church down at the children's home that we're partnered with down there, and we're going to be doing some good stuff, hanging out with the kids, working on some projects, and I'm excited for it. But I did not have the time or the content. They wouldn't let me send out a playtest game for you guys yet. So I didn't have anything loaded up and ready to go for next week, so you'll have to do without, but we will have a couple videos left before Nationals, which is just in a few weeks, so that's pretty exciting. If you guys haven't pre-registered yet, please go do that. They want to know who all is coming, and also want to give out some fun prizes. If you don't pre-register, it does make it more likely that I get the fun prizes, which I wouldn't be too upset about, but I would rather you guys just pre-register because it's going to be good to know who all is coming and to be able to plan for everything for the hosts. That would be the best to give everyone the best experience. If you're not sure if you're coming yet, I think maybe you still pre-register and just like leave a comment or let Jay or Mark know that you're not quite sure, but here's what you would be doing if you are going. I think that's a reasonable thing to do, and also just keep an eye on your potential flights or carpooling, that kind of stuff. Work that out. Get all your details figured out for nationals because it's going to be a good time. I'm excited and hope to see you all there. So that is everything for this video. I'm just doing a quick check in my brain to see if I missed anything that I was going to mention. I would maybe keep an eye out for the next video, which will be in 2 weeks, because there will probably be some, I don't know, a card that maybe you haven't seen before. It's possible. I might just give one out to you, or give you guys a card that's new or something. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But just give you guys a little teaser to another little bit of good news, I guess, for this video. So, anyways, that's where we're gonna wrap things up. I know it's one of my shorter videos in a good while. So hopefully that's good for you guys. Some of you who don't have the time to devote to watching the whole thing. This will be good for John Hendricks. He only watches the overviews anyway, I guess. So if you guys want to check out this deck, you can find the deck list still below, and let me know how it goes because I haven't played it yet, so I want to know. All right, with that, we'll catch you all later.